Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are tackling a really significant challenge.
Hmm.
It's that friction so many people feel, especially those who commit to full-time family care.
Right, that tension between the work of parenting, which is all-consuming, and that need for personal identity.
And for financial reward, yeah, purpose outside the home.
It's a huge tension. And the sources you sent over, they really focus on the work of Robert Flowers, and they articulate that specific pain point.
They do, especially for stay-at-home mothers.
Exactly. They're looking for a bridge, right?
Right.
A way to move from, as the title says, from bored to fulfilled.
Without having to wait 10 years until the kids are older.
Yeah, without putting their own identity on hold.
Absolutely. So today we're deep diving into a solution that honestly is pretty surprising. It's this idea of using special needs housing
S&H.
as this dual path, a way to get stable cash flow but also have a real social impact.
And our mission today is to really unpack that model.
Go beyond the buzzwords.
Right. What is it? How does it actually work financially? And I think this is the most interesting part, why the sources claim it's so perfectly suited for someone who's already, managing a household.
Which is basically a complex logistics operation.
It is. So we're going to be drawing a lot from Flowers' work, specifically his book, The Joy of Helping Others, creating passive income streams through special needs housing.
Okay, let's start with the problem itself. The sources call it the unfulfillment gap. And this isn't about criticizing the choice to stay home at all.
Not at all. It's about recognizing that the work, even though it's, heroic in many ways, it can feel invisible.
Lonely and so repetitive.
That's the hidden emotional drain, right?
Yeah.
Your identity starts to revolve entirely around other people's needs.
And the work you do, the vital labor, it doesn't come with a paycheck or structured feedback from other adults.
Right, which leads to what the sources call the fading spark.
Tell me more about that.
It's this feeling that you're only using your patience, not your full intellectual capacity or your managerial skills.
You crave something that's externally validated.
And that's where the guilt comes in.
Yeah.
The guilt trap.
Feeling bad for wanting more.
Yeah, for wanting more purpose or more income, when from the outside, it looks like you're successfully running your family.
So the real desire isn't to escape family life.
No, it's to integrate something meaningful into it.
Yeah.
Something that brings in income and has a real social impact. That solves both problems at once.
Okay, so if the problem is that lack of a visible, rewarding purpose, this brings us right to the solution the sources propose. Special needs housing. What makes this so different from, a traditional side hustle?
Well, most side hustles, gig work, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
you're just trading more of your time for, honestly, pretty marginal income.
Right.
S&H is different. It's a real estate investment model that creates a genuinely stable, passive cash flow.
And it does that by addressing a huge societal need.
A profound one. Safe, high-quality housing for vulnerable populations. We're often talking about adults with physical or intellectual disabilities.
So this isn't just buying a rental property and hoping you find a good tenant.
Not at all. The whole model is built on a specific partnership structure. That's what creates the stability.
Okay, let's break that down. How does it work operationally? What does Robert Flowers describe?
So the key here is the mechanism for stability. The investor, following this model, doesn't rent to an individual.
They don't.
No. They enter into what's called a master lease agreement with a qualified nonprofit organization.
So the nonprofit is your tenant.
Exactly. The nonprofit is the primary tenant. Then they sublease the property to the people who actually need the housing.
Okay, that partnership sounds like it de-risks the whole thing.
It's the absolute key. It's critical for anyone who is seeking truly passive income.
But I have to ask, how does the nonprofit guarantee that rent? I mean, where does their funding come from? Is it secure?
That's the million-dollar question. And in many cases, yes, it's government-backed.
Ah, okay.
The tenants that these nonprofits house, their rent is often subsidized through state or federal programs.
Like Section 8.
Could be Section 8. Or state-funded waiver programs tied to disability services. When the money is linked to a government program and paid to the nonprofit.
The cash flow is way more reliable than just relying on someone's paycheck.
Infinitely more reliable. It makes the claim of stable cash flow very, very real.
Okay, but we have to address the elephant in the room. This is still real estate. For someone who's been out of the traditional workforce, focused on home management, where does the capital come from? That seems like a huge barrier.
It's a fundamental challenge, and the sources don't gloss over it.
Right.
But there are pathways. First, some lenders actually have specialized financing for S&H projects
Why is that?
because the returns are so stable, thanks to those nonprofit guarantees. Second, and this is very common, is using joint venture partnerships.
So you might bring the managerial skills to the table,
Right.
and a partner brings the capital.
Precisely. Your ability to find a property, manage the nonprofit relationship, and oversee the project. Those are assets.
Those are valuable skills in themselves.
Highly valuable.
Hmm.
So the goal is to start with the knowledge. You learn the landscape. That's why resources like the joy of helping others are so important. You get ready, so when a capital opportunity appears, you can act.
That's a really important dose of reality. You have to do the homework.
You do.
Which brings us to what the sources call the aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that you already have the marketable skills you need.
This is where we need to connect the dots, right?
Yeah, because it's easy to say managing a home translates to business, but what does that actually mean? It's not about laundry.
No, it's about high-level executive function. It's systems thinking.
Okay, I want to challenge that. Give me a direct translation. How does, say, managing a toddler's nap schedule translate into evaluating a property?
Perfect question. Let's take budgeting. In a home, you're managing finite resources. Groceries versus school supplies. In S&H, that same skill translates to projecting capital expenditures, analyzing property returns against compliance costs.
So you're managing a P&L for an investment property.
Exactly, a profit and loss statement. The core skill resource allocation under scarcity is identical.
That reframes it completely.
Anti-scheduling and problem solving, that NAP schedule. That's anticipating needs and crisis mitigation when it all goes wrong.
Which it always does.
Always. In S&H, that's vendor management, scheduling maintenance, making sure inspections happen on time, and calmly handling a burst pipe on a Saturday.
You're the operational manager of the asset.
Yes, you are providing the stable infrastructure that, frankly, many vulnerable people lack. You're drawing on talents you've been honing for years.
And this is why the credibility of the whole framework is so important.
Absolutely. The source material notes that Robert Flowers' firm, Flowers & Associates, is an A-plus BBB accredited firm.
Why does that detail matter?
Because you're stepping into a regulated field. You need partners and frameworks you can trust. Whether it's the firm guiding you or the nonprofit you partner with, it's all about standards and compliance.
Okay, so that link between domestic skill and business reality is the key. You're capitalizing on your capacity for organized, compassionate management. Which leads us right into the final part of this dive. The transformational emotional return.
This is the real why.
This is what fills that fulfillment gap.
It is. I mean, if you only wanted passive income, you could invest in anything. S&H is about purpose.
It's about having a profound emotional impact.
It's about restoring dignity. So many people in need of S&H, housing disabled adults, foster youth, they've been rejected by landlords over and over.
They feel unseen.
Totally.
Right.
So when you, as the investor, provide a safe, high-quality home through this partnership, you become part of their support system.
You're part of their success story, not just some anonymous landlord.
A completely different psychological reward. And it also solves that isolation problem we talked about at the beginning.
Yeah. How so?
You're reconnecting with society in a meaningful way. You're engaging with caseworkers, with community organizations, maybe even the parents of the tenants.
So you're pulled out of that isolated cycle.
And integrated into a support network that's actually improving society.
The message here feels so powerful. You don't have to wait to reclaim your identity.
You don't.
You can be a mom, an investor, a community builder, all at once.
It's about taking the skills you already have and maximizing them. And the first step is always learning and networking.
So for anyone listening who feels that friction, who has these skills and is curious, where do they start?
You start with research. Understand the specific rules and partnership opportunities in your local area. And a deep dive into the foundational material is just essential.
Which, as we've mentioned, is Robert Flowers' book, The Joy of Helping Others, Creating Passive Income Streams Through Special Needs Housing.
Right. It's on Amazon. You can also find a lot more information and resources at passiveimpactbookstore.net.
And for those who are maybe ready to take a more direct step.
For direct inquiries about partnership opportunities, you can contact the firm at 901-621-3544.
That knowledge base really is the bridge, isn't it?
It's the bridge from wanting to help to actually creating a sustainable financial model that does it.
We've seen today that some of the most overlooked skills, patience, organizational prowess, just sheer home management can be the most financially rewarding when you apply them to a critical need. And that leaves me with one final question for you, the listener, to think about. We focused on home management, but what other invisible strengths do you have? Maybe it's mentorship or just deep empathy. What strengths do you possess that, if you leverage them correctly, could transform both your financial stability and your sense of purpose in the world?
Until next time, keep digging.